Even though the plants are idle, we are paying for that power.
But that is the states will take action against public officers who
they have to decide, and they are actually in a meeting now to decide.
We want you to.
That as senior justices of the Supreme Court charged the AG to ensure only senior attorneys are sent after National Labour Commission ordered them to call off their strike with immediate effect.
We work with a structure and they decide it will come back. Because mind you, we have been here before, my brother.
Interest payments will take compensation for public sector workers as government biggest spending item in the budget.
Expedite action ahead of the Tokyo Games. This comes after securing a second 4-year term at
055 997. If you're also watching via Facebook, you can leave your comments there. And we start off tonight on the Ejapa agreement. But first, listen to this. There's announcement just will be effected to the terms.
The Speaker, government will come back to engage the House on the steps it intends to take on the future.
Now we know that 15 CSOs in the extractive sector, fronting under the name Alliance of CSOs working on extractives anti-corrupt, seeks to mortgage future revenues from gold royalties for a lump sum money now. But tonight, details about the revised deal. He spoke on the probe last night.
I still believe, and I think the president does as well, that I still believe that it is really an opportunity for us to start by foreigners and all of it exported. I still is just because the people who mine the gold in Johannesburg are from Johannesburg and live in Johannesburg, and they're supposed to provide us with access to some of this foreign capital to use to support our own local players. Yes, and took that into account. We've gone through a lot of...
Gradually at some point.
Oh, I don't think it was gradually. Income Investment Fund Act. We then went and had non-deal roadshows with investors to understand what were concerns in fine-tuning this transaction structure. And we've been working with the AG and all the other when gold prices had peaked. It happened to be very close to the election. So I think it raised other political issues came. I think minority were asking, they said that we had gone and incorporated in a tax haven. I think the nation for a lot of companies that are listed on the London Stock Exchange. And the London Stock Exchange, so companies like even Vodafone and companies. The reason why we chose Jersey was not only because of the strict corporate governance rules, but also because action where you want to raise $500 million. We didn't believe that the Ghana Stock Exchange had the depth and the variety of investors, which will mean we'll get the best valuation for Ejapa. We thought that the Jersey domicilium was actually the most ideal. There was a concern about the royalties that were accrued to these investors and that it should be capped. Company located in Jersey, that the independent directors could not be removed, nor the chairman without having a majority vote. That has been changed. So now we are applying more, which we have now removed the whole local company component, which was what raised the whole valuation issue in the first place. The president has instructed, we'll go back to the AG. The AG is supposed to review the concerns. We will then go back to Parliament, most likely, for their blessing before we go. So
what are the timelines we are looking at for this?
We don't have, we haven't gotten agreed to specify the Eurobond. Those are two pressing issues. Once that's done, we will then come back to the drawing board and take another look at it.
Will it still come back as a Ejapa?
Before it got changed to Ejapa, it can get changed again. I mean, the name is not really an issue for anybody. I mean, based on marketability, you know. This is a deal that we believe is really to the benefit of Ghanaians and Ghanaians at large. And I think it's something that we all action and that everybody is bought into.
So that's the president's representative at the finance ministry, Charles Edubuahin, there speaking to me last night on the Joseph Akable. Listen.
Well, I think, yes, his office of Attorney General was seized with the agreement as far back as November, December. So to the nation, the agreement was submitted to the Attorney General for review, where the process of review started in December. It's on
the Attorney General Godfrey Yeboadem. I want to bring in right now civil society lead voice on this matter, Dr. Steve Mateus, matter in the House when it first came up. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time here on Newsnight. Dr. Mateus, let me start with you. So we're now getting some, or I guess, further talks. From what you've heard so far, happy with the changes?
Well, not until we've seen it told is to be expected. If I may say so, because at the height of the controversy over estimate on the deal, the president, you recall, accepted the findings and referred it back to count the concerns being raised by the CSOs and kind of represent the documents to Parliament sometime last week, is to follow up with the directive he gave the Minister of Finance and the Attorney General. What we agreed the concerns would have been consulted, even as the Minister and the Attorney General can write what changes have been effected and how our concerns have been addressed comprehensively.
But before we see the investors should be capped and not in perpetuity, that has been addressed. He says
a good one.
He talks about independent directors and chairmen could not be removed unless majority. They're implying some Ghanaian rules here. Look, in the tax haven jersey, those specific ones that he's put out so far, happy with them?
Yeah, some of them are capping the royalties to what the new value will be, and what are the assumptions that actually inform that particular valuation they will be putting forward. So until we see the new value, we are unable to comment on it. So we wait on which the EJAPA itself was premised. The law is defective in many respects. Which recently done some analysis of the law, and we find that of the Mineral Income Investment Fund Act, per se. Of course, the former deputy minister hints that in a way ability clauses are provided for in the law. And one thing that for me is so curious, we've heard government saying that ability clauses, we've frozen the manner in which we take our royalties, which is in cash. So if you freeze the manner in which you take your royalty and the way the law is carved, to give us that liberty to be able to assess our goals and therefore add value. So the other concerns, again, in terms of the law, is the regulations, the applicable regulations in respect of royalties actually requires the companies to pay their royalties on quarterly basis.
I mean, John Junapo, listening to the former Deputy Finance Minister, he's now a rep of the President of the Finance Ministry.
Thank you. I think we've been very consistent on this matter. I thought the Deputy Minister would have given examples of countries that have listed in a tax haven like Jersey, company in Jersey. I've just read the entire requirements for the London Stock Exchange. It's a 104-page document. Nowhere in that document is it stated incorporated in Jersey back to Parliament. Consider it dead on arrival as far as the minority is concerned. And yet, what you are doing is that you are going to raise 500 million, and you claim that you are going to invest that through the budget in certain critical infrastructure and ceding that money to EJAPA. So it's so murky. They claim they've made. We thought that they would have consulted all the various stakeholders even before coming to Parliament. But if you sit in your corner, inputs or changes, not for the CSOs to make inputs or changes, but for ratification, you can be sure. So that we would then go to the law itself and do a proper consultation in respect of the law. But in the current state, right from incorporation, I can tell you that we have a serious problem. Exposition and the rest, Ghana government, the state, would not incorporate the company in Ghana. It would rather incorporate it in a tax haven. That is bad governance.
Have you come to some understanding what specific changes you would want to see before you could support this deal if indeed it comes back?
Well, there are some concerns that John Junapo has just mentioned. The registration of EJAPA in tax haven does not provide for transparency.
Yeah, Charles Dubai says
beneficial owner going forward. Then, I mean, if even all the other concerns are addressed, and the issue of the registration in the tax haven, is that it kind of helps to hide the identity of the beneficial owners. Let's listen about these investors and all that. And we think that going into a tax haven provides the opportunity to hide the potential huge corruption risk for this country.
Grateful gentleman for the time here on Top Story. That's John Junapo, Dr. Steve Matial with ISODEC. So listening to News 90 on Joy 99.7 FM.
Well, let's talk about power now. And recently, especially March 7, is the latest and affected almost everyone connected to the national grid. So the general sentiment undoubtedly is, well, the chief executive of the Ghana Grid Company, Gridco, Jonathan Amwakoba, has been speaking about the country's power supply, Pokwasi and Kaswa substations. Well, we'll hear more from him first, but the question on the mind, representative of the Finance Ministry, admitting that indeed there are some challenges, but there's no crisis.
About 1,000 megawatts. I think our peak demand is at about 3,000 megawatts. And so we have 2,000 megawatts of excess capacity. And those IPPs were mostly on a take-or-pay basis, 30-40% of the time. So meaning that for the rest of the time, even though the plants are high, because the consumer will say, why am I paying for this? I'm not using the electricity. Viability of power. There was a recent incident with Gridco where there was a system shutdown on gas. But they are located both on the West Coast and the East Coast.
Is there an energy crisis?
I do hold a different view. A ranking member on the Finance Committee, Dr. Case Latterforsen, blames the situation on the abrogation of the Ghana-US Millennium Compact following the termination of that concession arrangement between ECG, we know,
We need some investment in transmission lines, and that is why MIDA, Millennium Development Authority, PP, through PDS agreement, saw this kind of money, hard-earned taxpayers' money to deal with it, something that we could have had money to deal with it. But you see, the difficulties we have on the back of these energy problems is as a result of problems in the sector. Today, the energy sector is crippled with debt. Being interviewed, now Minister of Energy, the Honorable Matthew Prempe, when he made a bold statement, an amount of about 1.5 billion Ghana cedis, and that amount can increase to about 4.5.
Generating power we don't need.
You see, I get surprised about this. Everything, after staying in power for almost 5 years, all what you know is just to blame someone.
In an article, and he said the company is currently undertaking works on some major transmission lines to ensure power reliability.
His assertion is that when they are done, it will improve the situation with intermittent power outages. For one, they're talking about of July 2021. There's also the project is being funded, we understand, as part of around the Greater Accra Kumasi area. There's also the 45 million Pokwasi substation, part of projects under construction by major parts of Accra. There's also the 45 million Kaswa bulk supply point, which is expected to, we understand, September this year. And if you live in Accra, you'll be interested to be done again in July this year. And when it's done, it will additionally the work that Gridco is currently embarking on.
Okay, and some of you have already been talking about the power situation, and we have this one. Just before this bill till now, you're talking about power outages. The light in my area has gone on and off twice, if not doomso. What about the situation as we speak? And most of you are also commenting on the top story for today, the bigotry, and then also the... Hello, George.
Hi, MFA, and how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. How was your week?
Overtaking compensation for public sector workers as government's biggest spending item in the block new fuel taxes, warning it could worsen the plight of low business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials. And Ali.
This MTS, you can win up to 30,000 Ghana cedis every month. Text everywhere you go.
Our 130th Allianz Life Insurance Ghana, a subsidiary of Allianz Group, has put together a wide range of insurance packages to suit the pockets of every Ghanaian in 2 or 059-144-9686 or visit our website www.allianz.
We know it's important to create a productive and supportive working environment by investing in your employees' health. With the leading insurance services to institutional clients, families, and individuals. Apex Student Package and International Medical Road, Shiashi, or call
0501-683-914.
Or Apex Health, your preferred health insurer.
Hope you have heard Rent to Own, Pram District Assembly and its partners, supported by the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development and the UN Habitat, fully serviced land. Wait a minute, don't forget to join our affiliate housing cooperatives also. or 0577911101 and 05 Pension Project, shaping Ghana's urban future.
You're welcome back to Business on News Night. Not the budget. Now, this is the first time in a long while that the scales have turned when it comes to the biggest spending item in the budget.
Government is planning to spend 35.8 billion cedis as interest payments for this year. To public sector workers, that has been the top spending item on government's budget. However, towards levels that can be described as unsustainable or high risk of debt distress. The total from the 2021 budget statement, Ghana's debt stock ending December has reached 291.6 billion cedis bailouts. The increase was mainly as a result of a Eurobond issuance in February, COVID-19 pandemic, as well as lower than expected GDP growth. But another major concern on the loans, let alone the principals to be paid on these loans. If interest payment bills continues to rise, then government might be forced to cancel road projects in front of your house or that school project nearby.
And that is a Business Desk report. Now, we will look at how Ghana can be assisted in developing the market for standalone solar products, innovative products to assist the country when it comes to solar products. And the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers is next quarter following proposals that are introduced in the budget that will be placing 2 new taxes on the product to them.
These new taxes and increases is very. If you consider that Ghanaians have had 6 spot of increases within the past on stabilizing fuel prices for them, only to be greeted with new taxes, sanitation and pollution, and then addition of 20% for ESLA, who represent all of us, should do anything within their mandate and powers to block this proposition from the finance.
Last year, posting some sterling financial results. That is according to the ABSA group. Actually, they were speaking in a conference call today. Now, turbulence by posting some strong results for last year. Now, speaking to investors and journalists on the group's financial results for 2020. Justin Quinn speaking to journalists from Joburg.
Our Ghanaian business still has to print its results in Ghana. It's been a star throughout the crisis. It's proved to be very resilient, and its numbers are strong.
Yeah, maybe just to add to the economy, which is critical, of course, to how we then fare within that. Ghana has been only one of 2 of the countries in a rather strong there compared to the headwinds that they are facing, and Ghana has been the largest contributor in terms of earnings from
Director of WAPSA, Justin Quinn, and also you heard the group chief engaging investors and journalists on the 2020 group financial results from Joburg in South Africa.
Test is via WhatsApp 0551111997. We have one from Wolanyo in Akwetia, says, how can the patents yet to come and what do they regard? Apology is granted, but they should be probed and sanctioned, as I blame those others who are members of this. Okay, well, so that's Clement. And Godash said, and the position and the demand of the Volta Regional House of Chiefs is welcome. This impunity of tribal bigotry must stop. Lincoln in Akwetiman says, so the publisher that says, I back the call made by the Volta Regional House of Chiefs. It's a time for our chiefs and everyone in the region to speak out. We're all Ghanaians. Voltarians are tired.
Chairman from Tamale says, indeed, this government is a listening one and must be patted on the back. It is interesting to know that there has been success. I think that this budget is the best for Ghana, and I can only hope and pray that the minority would cooperate with Parliament and approve. Would sleep on the job and allow publishers to circulate such damaging untruths about some ethnic groups in the country. The Ministry of Education must answer some.
Now we go on to some other stories this time.
Well, the Attorney General, Godfred Yeboah-Dabe, has tonight served notice of taking action against public official judgment. There's another key issues.
So Mr. Dami says the state sometimes incurs judgment debt as a result of such delays. This was his response to a demand of the state is protected. Listen to Chief Justice Inin Yeboah speaking at a meeting with the Attorney General.
The constitutional cases, please, as I said, the Supreme Court is the final court, and when constitution, the AG's office will come for extension of time and whatever, and the fundamental law of the land may be an issue. It could be enforced, the necessary attention. In fact, you were very active at the Supreme Court, and yes, almost invariably when you were coming, you put in.
So it turns out that it's not only the CJ who holds these strong views on the matter. Justice
True, in the sense that the AG impacts on the court more negatively, because when cases delay to court, the blame is on the judges. But the judges come to court at 9, they cannot go on because the witnesses are not there. Or if at the appellate level, your staff come and ask for leave to come and file papers. That, oh, you have just statement of case, it's about 2 months. And so we want you to be
on the issue of service. There's always a problem with service. There's a problem about who was served, and that's so that whether you revamp because people they direct the service there, whatever happens again is.
First, on the issue relating to the delay in cases, he also reviewed that it is often as a result of the non-cooperation.
We expect the representation from the Attorney General's office to be either a chief state at any representation which falls short of the expectation may lead to.
Is there? You just heard again the Chief Justice Eninyebua reading with the justices to be lenient in the charge of only senior representatives who are representing the state, since it will.
I think the fundamental issue, which really we cannot turn a blind eye to, is the inadequate staffing. 100, still insufficient. The office is my message I told you before today of the need for chief state attorneys to represent the office at less than now. Some have even retired. So there may be just about 20 chief state attorneys. So I actually pleaded with my laws in chambers to ensure that because we to require chief state attorneys to defend cases before the Supreme Court would be virtually impossible.
Executive Council of Telecom and IT Professionals Union in a meeting to decide their next line of action after thinking about disruptions in telecommunication services. Already some have already started, experiencing it. But let's do sports now with Evans Mensah.
Has called on members to unite and expedite action on preparation for the Sciences here in Accra. Mensah beat his sole competitor Richard Akpokavi in the presidential race by 7 votes to.
Challenging as it was, we managed to sail through and we are here today. We need to move forward. Colleagues and new board running. Right after this program, I want to call for our first board meeting because there's so much that we need to do, especially to machinations that come with it. And I think that we need to hit the ground running. I want to assure him and His Excellency the President that all of us here are committed to working and making sure that Ghana sports takes its rightful place in Africa. It's not going to be easy, as you all know, but people with very strong and diverse background, people who can't wait to get Ghana sports where it needs. There is no.
Tony Joshua and Tyson Fury's world heavyweight title showdown has moved a step closer with Joshua's promoter at the hand.
Thank you, Hans. Now, the National Executive Council and the Governing Board of the Telecom and IT Professional Union have been meeting to with immediate effect, call off their strike.
Well, they're protesting poor conditions of service, and they say salary negotiations with management of Huawei Technologies Limited to maintain insist the workers must return to work. The Commission has also summoned the workers to appear before 8 on Thursday for a resolution of their grievances.
It came rather late in the afternoon, so we could only work on it this morning. But early this morning, we received a reaction from the managers of the various telecom companies on Wednesday at 2 o'clock to try to resolve the matter. Actually, and they were supposed to come back to the Commission. One expected, so if they went and it failed, or one party failed to discharge its portion of what they were done their part, the management have failed to comply with the directive. For the commission to move ahead and then enforce the awards that were given, rather than declaring a strike. It's unfortunate before the commission, and then the matter will be resolved.
They were there before, nothing was
Yeah,
done.
they were here
How
on the
certain are we that this meeting will yield any positive result?
So that's the National Labour Commission's Executive Secretary, Ofuswa Samoa, there, by the General Secretary or the Directive to take a firm decision on their next line of action. He's been explaining the effect of their strike.
Management is going around issuing letters of threat to these workers, letters of threat to the workers. And so it is sad. I am being honest with you. It's very sad. How do you then work with these kind of employees?
So is it possible that our phones will stop?
Signals to do the calls, like we are saying. As I explained, your phone is a radio, but you need a signal of the various networks that you are connected to make a call.
Serious consequences of this particular strike, and we are checking whether the meetings that they are currently holding have yielded any so severe. Let's speak to the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications. Ken Ashigbe heads the chamber, joins us on the telephone line right now. Mr. Ashigbe, you represent the particular telcos involved, Airtel, Tigo, MTN, and Vodafone, who of course use the facilities.
Evans. And well, we are happy that the national labor conversation, the only way to resolve it is to get both parties to be able to reconvene as a National Labor Commission. And in the process, be able to the networks would be disrupted. So we would work with all parties in this conversation to ensure that we are able to amicably, and at that point, both the employers, the four subcontractors, as well as the workers' union and the workers, their issues will be brought to a process. And so while the right processes are put in place, and we hope that these issues will be resolved. But in the interim, issues are looked at.
And briefly, Ms. Ashigbe, to consumers, what do you tell them now who may be concerned?
What we assure consumers is that and also ensure that every party's views are heard and their issues are dealt with.
Address. And we understand that meeting
shall place in the hearts of residents in the Western region. Let's go there.
Situated at the center of Sekunde and Fence is 4 white round band lies at both legs, one leg lifted and the other down. For years, people have... Is this what it means?
The name Confase is a corrupted name. The image looks like a fetish priest dancing. And so those of us who don't...
The then DCE for STMA, Major Kobna, built it for the community to symbolize the Kundum dance, which is part of just about 8 years when the momentum was built. He narrates how it was raised.
This place has been coded to stop people from coming to that area.
How did its original meaning and symbol become misplaced?
We don't dance Adwa, we don't dance Abaja, we don't dance Bobobo, we dance Kundum.
In Western region, remember to visit that monument in the Western region.
Another thing you need to remember, not NDC. Gbagbe tells Sami Jamefi.
And Okuchetua Blakwa requests Education Minister to explain offline.com and read more for yourself.
And then I love the story about the APAM, the rituals that are currently listening to News Night. Remember to brush your teeth with Pepsodent. Pepsodent, because every smile